The ancient Egyptians were obsessed with the afterlife. They believed that death was not the end, it was a transition, a journey to another world. This belief permeated every aspect of their lives. It shaped their art, their architecture, and their social structure. The ancient Egyptians left behind a legacy that continues to captivate us today. They built colossal tombs and temples. These monuments served as gateways to the afterlife. These structures were not merely tombs for the deceased. They were elaborate homes for eternity. For the ancient Egyptians, death was not the end. It was a transition. They believed in the immortality of the soul. This belief was deeply ingrained in their culture. It influenced their daily lives in profound ways. They believed that life on earth was a preparation for the afterlife. Their actions in this life had consequences that would follow them into eternity. This belief fostered a strong sense of morality. Their tombs were adorned with intricate paintings and hieroglyphics. These depicted scenes from the afterlife. They served as guides for the deceased. The ancient Egyptians believed that a person was made up of several parts. The most important of these, for the afterlife at least, was the ka. The ka was the spiritual essence of a person. It was their life force, their double. Upon death, the ka would leave the physical body. It would embark on a perilous journey, a journey to the afterlife. This journey was fraught with danger. The ancient Egyptians believed in demons and deities. These beings could help or hinder the ka's progress. The journey was not simply about overcoming physical obstacles. It was about navigating moral dilemmas. The ka would be tested along the way. Its actions in life would be judged. To help the ka, families would place provisions in the tomb: food, drink, and other necessities. They would also include amulets and charms. These objects were believed to have magical powers. The most iconic image from the Egyptian afterlife is the weighing of the heart. This ceremony was depicted in countless tomb paintings. It was described in detail in the Book of the Dead. It represented the ultimate judgment, the moment when a person's fate was decided. The heart was seen as the seat of the soul. It held all of a person's deeds, both good and bad. In the Hall of Two Truths, the heart was weighed on a scale. Anubis, the jackal-headed god of embalming, oversaw the ceremony. The feather of Ma'at was placed on the other side of the scale. Ma'at represented truth, justice, and cosmic order. If the heart balanced with the feather, the deceased was deemed worthy. They were granted access to the afterlife. They would live eternally in the field of reeds. However, if the heart was heavier than the feather, the deceased was doomed. The ancient Egyptians believed in a pantheon of gods. Many of these deities played a role in the afterlife. Osiris was the god of the underworld and judge of the dead. He was often depicted as a mummified king. He held a crook and flail, symbols of his authority. Anubis, as we have seen, oversaw the weighing of the heart. He was also responsible for preparing the body for mummification. He guided the soul to the underworld. Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, recorded the results of the weighing of the heart. He was also responsible for maintaining cosmic order. The ancient Egyptians believed that the preservation of the body was crucial. For the soul to reunite with the ka in the afterlife, the body had to be recognizable. This belief led to the development of mummification, a complex and sophisticated process. It aimed to preserve the body from decay. Imagine skilled embalmers working meticulously. They used their knowledge of anatomy and chemistry. They transformed the deceased into a mummy. The process began with the removal of the internal organs. These were preserved separately in canopic jars. The body was then dried using a natural salt called natron. The dried body was then treated with oils and resins. These fragrant substances had preservative properties. They also added a pleasant aroma. The mummification process was not merely a practical measure. It was a deeply symbolic ritual. Each step was imbued with religious significance. The removal of the organs, for example, represented the separation of the physical and spiritual aspects of the deceased. The drying of the body with natron symbolized the purification of the soul. The wrapping of the body in linen bandages represented the protection offered to the deceased in the afterlife. The amulets and charms placed within the wrappings were believed to provide magical assistance. They would help the deceased overcome the challenges of the underworld. The mummies were then placed in elaborately decorated sarcophagi. These were often made of wood or stone. The tombs of the ancient Egyptians were not merely burial places. They were seen as eternal homes for the deceased. They were designed to provide everything the deceased would need in the afterlife. They were filled with food, drink, furniture, and other necessities. The tombs were often decorated with elaborate paintings and reliefs. These depictions showcased scenes from the deceased's life. They also illustrated their journey through the underworld. The walls were inscribed with prayers and spells from the Book of the Dead. These texts were intended to guide and protect the deceased in the afterlife. The most famous tombs are, of course, the pyramids. These colossal structures were built for the pharaohs. Imagine a book, not just any book, a book that holds the secrets to navigating the afterlife. This is the Book of the Dead, a collection of spells, hymns, and instructions. It was placed in tombs with the deceased. It acted as a guide for their perilous journey. This book was not a single uniform text. It evolved over centuries. Different spells were added or removed depending on the time period. The Book of the Dead was highly personalized. Specific spells were chosen based on the deceased's status and wealth. The book was written on papyrus scrolls. They were often beautifully illustrated. These illustrations depicted scenes from the afterlife. They provided visual aids for the deceased. The Book of the Dead was essential for a safe passage. The spells in the Book of the Dead served a variety of purposes. Some were protective. They warded off malevolent spirits. Others provided guidance. They helped the deceased navigate the complex underworld. Still others were intended to ensure the deceased's well-being in the afterlife. The spells were written in hieroglyphs. They were often accompanied by rubrics. These rubrics explained how to perform the spell correctly. The spells were not just words. They were believed to have magical power. When spoken aloud, they could influence the world around them. One of the most famous spells is the negative confession. In this spell, the deceased declared their innocence. They listed all the sins they had not committed in life. This was not a time for honesty. It was a time for self-preservation. The importance of the Book of the Dead highlights the power of words in ancient Egyptian beliefs. They believed that words had the ability to shape reality. Spoken words in particular held immense power. They were thought to create vibrations. These vibrations could influence the spiritual and physical realms. This belief is evident in many aspects of their culture, from their elaborate funerary texts to their magical spells and incantations. The Egyptians believed that words could heal the sick, ward off evil, and even control the forces of nature. The Book of the Dead was not just a collection of spells, it was a testament to the power of language. It was a tool for navigating the afterlife. It gave the deceased a voice in the underworld. Death was a journey. The ancient Egyptians envisioned the afterlife as a perilous voyage. The deceased, guided by the Book of the Dead, embarked on this passage through the underworld. This realm, known as the Duat, was a mysterious and challenging place. Imagine a vast and shadowy realm. The sun god Ra traveled through it each night. The deceased had to navigate this treacherous landscape. They faced numerous obstacles and trials. The underworld was not a place of punishment, it was a place of transformation. The Egyptians believed the underworld mirrored the Nile River's journey. It flowed through barren deserts before reaching fertile lands. The deceased's journey reflected this. The journey through the underworld was fraught with danger. The deceased encountered fearsome guardians and demons. Each presented a unique challenge. These beings tested the deceased's worthiness to enter the afterlife. One such guardian was Amut, the devourer of souls. This terrifying creature had the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus. She resided in the Hall of Two Truths, where the deceased's heart was weighed. If the heart was heavier than the feather of Maat, Amut would devour it, condemning the soul to oblivion. The deceased also encountered serpentine demons, fire-breathing serpents, and monstrous guardians. These creatures guarded the gates and passageways of the underworld. After navigating the treacherous paths and facing fearsome guardians, the deceased arrived at the Hall of Two Truths. This was the heart of the underworld, where their fate would be decided. The hall was presided over by Osiris, the god of the underworld and judge of the dead. Imagine a grand hall filled with deities and supernatural beings. The atmosphere is heavy with anticipation. The deceased stands before Osiris, his heart trembling in the balance. This was the moment of truth. Anubis, the jackal-headed god of embalming, performed the weighing of the heart ceremony. He placed the deceased's heart on one side of a golden scale. On the other side, he placed the feather of Ma'at, representing truth, justice, and cosmic order. Deep within the shadowy realm of the Duat, Osiris reigned supreme. He was the lord of the underworld, the judge of the dead, and the ruler of the afterlife. His presence commanded respect and instilled both awe and trepidation in the hearts of the deceased. Imagine Osiris seated upon a magnificent throne. His skin, the color of freshly turned earth, symbolized his connection to the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. He wore the Artef crown, a tall white crown flanked by two ostrich feathers, representing his authority and power over the underworld. In his hands he held the crook and flail, symbols of kingship and dominion. The crook, a shepherd's staff, represented his role as a guide and protector of the deceased. The flail, a symbol of power, represented his ability to dispense justice and punish the wicked. Osiris's presence was not one of fear, but of solemn judgment. He represented the ultimate balance of life and death, the embodiment of order and justice in the afterlife. The deceased, standing before him, understood the weight of his judgment, knowing that their fate in the afterlife rested in his hands. Anubis, the jackal-headed god, played a pivotal role in the ancient Egyptian afterlife. He was the guardian of the dead, the protector of tombs, and the master of mummification. His image, often depicted with the head of a black jackal and the body of a man, was a familiar sight in tombs and funerary texts. Imagine Anubis, his keen senses alert, guarding the entrance to the necropolis. His black fur, the color of the fertile Nile silt and the night sky, symbolized death and rebirth. His piercing gaze, filled with an ancient wisdom, saw beyond the veil of mortality, recognizing the enduring spirit within. Anubis oversaw the intricate process of mummification. He guided the embalmers, ensuring that the body was properly prepared for its journey to the afterlife. He was also present during the weighing of the heart ceremony, carefully overseeing the delicate balance of justice. His role was not merely to prepare the deceased for burial, but to guide their souls through the perilous journey to the afterlife. He was the protector, the guardian, and the psychopomp, leading the deceased through the shadowy realm of the Duat toward the judgment of Osiris. The echoes of ancient Egypt resonate through millennia. Their elaborate beliefs about the afterlife, meticulously documented and vividly illustrated, offer a glimpse into a civilization captivated by the mysteries of life and death. From the towering pyramids to the intricate hieroglyphs adorning tomb walls, their legacy endures. Archaeological discoveries continue to unveil the secrets of their funerary practices. We unearth tombs laden with treasures, each artifact whispering tales of their beliefs. We decipher ancient texts, piecing together the intricate tapestry of their afterlife mythology. The sheer scale of their monuments, the meticulous detail of their artwork, and the profound symbolism woven into their rituals speak volumes about the importance they placed on ensuring a smooth transition into the afterlife. Their beliefs, though separated from us by thousands of years, continue to captivate our imaginations. We marvel at the ingenuity of their mummification practices, the complexity of their funerary rituals, and the profound symbolism embedded within their mythology. The ancient Egyptians remind us that the quest to understand death and the afterlife is a timeless human endeavor. Their legacy reminds us that we are all travelers on a journey and that our actions in this life have ripple effects that extend far beyond our mortal existence. It is a legacy that continues to inspire awe, wonder, and a profound respect for a civilization that dared to look beyond the veil of death and envision a realm of eternal life.